One. Good evening and welcome to a special edition of Anime-Zing Radio here on YouTube. Tonight, Darren and I are going to be talking about anime and video games. Do they go hand in hand? There's been a lot of inspiration, especially in recent years, between video games, their popularity, and converting them over to the anime side, and vice versa. Especially throughout the years, seen a lot of anime that have been turned into video games, where both have had extreme popularity, as well as some video games, even in recent history, that the art and animation is so good that it's inspired its own spin-off anime series. So I think it's going to be a fun topic for us to talk about.
And adding to the mix, you also now have an industry where your voice actors can go back and forth between the two, both in Japan and in
the U.S.
In the U.S. Yes.
And again, welcome to Anime-Zing Radio. I'm your host, Doug Engler. Joining me in the co-host seat, as always, is our good friend, Mr. Darren Starling.
Hello.
This was kind of a last-minute thing, so Angela, unfortunately, is not able to join us tonight. She is catching up on some anime. Have you caught up on some stuff this week, Darren? Or
I joined you because I haven't, and unfortunately, it's been a very busy week. Well, fortunately, it's been a very busy week, but so by the time I get home, I'm ready to go to bed.
I do want to start off tonight by shooting out happy birthdays to Michelle Knotts. There was also a few other voice actors who celebrated birthdays this week. Also, let's see, Meg McLean had a birthday this week. Rico Fiardo, Michelle Knotts, as I mentioned. So happy birthday to all of them. Also, a big congratulations to Megan Shipman, who gave birth to her daughter earlier this week. We are excited to know that mom and daughter are both doing very well. Wish them the best in everything. So excited for them. Really is awesome.
Congratulations. I did not know that, but then again, I think you have her as a friend, but I don't.
Yeah, I have her as a friend on Facebook. But again, we are excited for tonight. It's going to be a fun topic to talk about. A lot of good stuff, a lot of cool things going on. Again, talking about anime and video games. Now, it's one of those crazy things where they seem to, for years, they've kind of gone hand in hand. And nobody knows that better than you, especially looking back to the days of Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! was more of a card game than a video game, but still had its own anime adaptation.
The Pokemon games came out before the cards did, because I think it went the games, the cards, and then the anime started airing in late 96, early 97. It just really gets me how the graphics changed in a couple of years, because you had this block style animation for the most part for the first 3 years of the games, and then you get into 2000, it's like the whole dynamics of games just change.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and it's gotten to the point that a lot of these newer games, some of them have animation scenes and art style that are smoother and more consistent than their animated counterparts.
And it's funny to see how it's progressed throughout the years, going back to looking at some of the early like Pokemon games compared to, look at Pokemon Red and Yellow as opposed to Pokemon Arceus, which recently had come out. And even some of the other video games that have um, come out in recent history over the last couple of years, where they've just blown up with the art styles changing, the graphics are so much better. Some of the video games that you get into, things like Genshin Impact or stuff like that, some of the artwork in it almost makes you feel like you're a part of an anime or a show, more so than just a video game, but you have more control over your character. I know that you haven't had a chance really to play Genshin or anything like that. I have very limited time in the gameplay, but growing up having played games like Final Fantasy IX and YS Arc of Nephisdom, some of the other RPGs that were out there, it's neat to see how the art styles and the graphics have progressed to where they can create some realistic looking action scenes. And it's no wonder that anime, like video games and anime, have progressed as far as they have.
Oh, yes. And what always gets me is the budget behind a lot of these things is considerably lower than most stuff produced here in the States. And the quality is just immensely better.
Oh, definitely. I know the big thing now is Five Nights at Freddy's. I know that just had a movie released this week, I believe it was. They had a movie that came out based off of that video game. I know it's not so much an anime per se, but that has been a very popular topic of conversation on a lot of the YouTube channels that I've been watching. Is that something you ever got into, or?
I was never a horror fan. The closest thing I've gotten to horror has been some horror anime, and even then, it's not normally my go-to.
So the closest thing to horror that we've watched is Conception.
No, that was a tragedy. No, that was a tragedy.
That was a mistake. Speaking of video games turned to anime, that was
one of the biggest mistakes. If you want an example of a video game turned anime done right, Uma Musume, Pretty Derby, that's a great example.
That's got a game?
Yeah, that's what it was based off of. It's Cygames.
I'm going to have to look that up because the anime is really good. I like the fact, and it wasn't until I think last week or a couple episodes ago when we were on the Uma Musume Wikipedia and actually found out information on the actual horses, comparing them to the horse girls of the anime. Yep. And I was kind of blown away by the accuracy.
Yep. And then the rivalries between certain individuals and how they actually did have somewhat of a rivalry.
So that's just really, really neat. And that's another cool thing about anime and anime, manga, video games. They especially coming out of like Japan, they spend a lot of attention looking into the history of certain subjects before they start covering them in the entertainment form, whether it's a light novel, a manga, anime, something of that nature. And it never ceases to amaze me just how important accuracy is down to, okay, do the buildings look correct in this scene? Does this look recognizable? This is supposed to be Tokyo 20 years ago. Does this look like Tokyo would have looked 20 years ago? And you can find photos and compare. And I know I've been to panels at conventions where people have actually done that. They've gone to actual locations that an anime was based off of, took photographs at the same angles that they appeared at in the anime, and were able to compare the anime frame to the photo they took. And it's a pretty almost 100% match, very close match.
Yep. Where was that? I had a comment, but then I lost it. Oh yeah, the amount of research they do. You know what Pokemon was originally based off of, right?
I think so. I've heard it before, but at the moment I don't remember.
Satoshi Tajiri. he got the idea for Pokemon by looking at all the critters in his backyard and in the forest.
That's
Like
right.
he literally based some of the original designs off of, well, he wasn't the artist, but the original designs for many of the 151 original Pokemon were actual creatures.
And that is pretty cool. And I'm sure he never would have dreamed that 25 years later it would still be going.
Oh, it's actually the biggest franchise in the world. It's the highest grossing franchise, most highest valued franchise in the world. It's got Disney beat by a milestone.
That's it doesn't surprise me, but it's still amazing.
And then, you know what's funny? Probably one of the biggest kicks I got was when the Pawn Stars started showcasing episodes of a lot of these trading cards and the insane amounts these collectors were asking, and then having their experts come in and go, they're not actually that far off. And then they're just blown away because they had no idea that that merchandise was that highly valued.
Yeah. It's absolutely insane to think of, and now did Pokemon originally start off as the card game or as a video game?
I believe it started off as the video game because that was the first thing they were doing. They did the trading card game to promote the anime series. I'm pretty sure it started off as a video game because I remember them talking about, because I did a report on this in 8th grade. I'm pretty sure the video game came first, and then they did the cards before the anime, because the copyright on all the cards, just like Yu-Gi-Oh, is 1996. The anime debuted in 1997, and I want to say the games debuted in 1995. I think Red, Blue, and Green debuted in 1995, and then Red, Blue, and Yellow, when they made it to the States, was 1996.
I'm on the Pokemon video game series wiki page, and it says that the first release of Pocket Monsters Red and Green Japan, February 27th, 1996.
So the early part of 96. And
Yep.
I think the card game was serialized later that year.
And it's showing 96 for red and green and blue, 98 yellow, red, and blue, 99 for gold and silver, 2000 was crystal.
Yep.
And this is all on the Wikipedia page for Pokemon.
Yep. And then 2002, 2003 was Ruby and Sapphire. 2004 was Fire Red and Leaf Green. 2005 was Emerald. 2006 was Diamond and Pearl.
2004 shows Fire Red, Leaf Green, Emerald Coliseum. 05 was XD Gale of Darkness. 06 Diamond and Pearl.
Yeah. Yep. You threw in some of the non-mainstream games. But yes, Diamond and Pearl, and then Platinum followed, I want to say, in 2007. And then we had...
Oh, wait.
No, 2000. Was Platinum 2007?
Oh, wait.
2008.
2008, according to the release timeline here.
That's right, because we had to wait, because Diamond and Pearl... Diamond and Pearl were originally supposed to be the final Pokemon games. And then they're like, nah, we're going to keep going.
Then you had Platinum.
Yep.
Heart Gold, Soul Silver.
Yep, they remade Johto. Then
Black and White.
Yep. And then they did Black version 2 and White version 2.
Yeah.
And then they did the best remakes, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire in 2014.
You skipped over X and Y in 2013.
That's right, I forgot. Because X and Y were incredibly forgettable. No, wait. No, I take it back.
I know that you don't like X and Y.
Well, I don't. I actually the anime series. I liked X and Y way better than I did Black and White. I did not like Black and White, to be honest with you. The anime series, that was one of the worst arcs, and part of that reasoning is the anime was completely changed because the episode that was supposed to air the week that the earthquake happened that caused the Fukushima disaster was actually Team Rocket versus Team Plasma. And they completely scrapped that whole thing and then changed the anime throughout the thing and basically took Team Plasma out altogether until Black 2 and White 2 released. And they introduced the new Team Plasma with N not as the head, but Getsis and Colress.
And hello to John Knight and Spike Bebop in the chat. Great to see you guys coming in. Welcome to the show tonight. Spike says Genshin Impact is their kind of anime game. And like I mentioned earlier with Genshin Impact, it's interesting to see how well the graphics on that were. I was very impressed by the graphics. I was very impressed by the little things. You know, it's not uncommon to see great character design on main characters and the important characters, and even some of the NPCs may look decent, but a lot of times background art and stuff just won't look all that great. A lot of times they'll have it look generic. But things like leaves blowing in wind, the trees swaying, and water flowing in Genshin Impact really surprised me. I was surprised really at how well the movement was in that, and really it was hats off.
Did it just seem like it was completely natural?
It kind of did. I don't know if you've had a chance to watch like any gameplay or seen any videos from it, but I was impressed by how important the little details were.
Okay.
And it's stuff that a lot of times people overlook. And I think I've gotten more critical of small details when it comes to anime, video games, and stuff like that, partially because of doing this show, partially because of, talking with content creators and comic creators and the voice actors and a lot of the people that we've had on the show over the last 9.5 years. So it's kind of opened my eyes to a whole different industry and gotten me to have a better appreciation of, some of the work that goes in the background. Playing games on the Switch and stuff like that. Nintendo has in their store on the Switch where you can actually download and play games from all the platforms. Or not every Nintendo platform, but most of them. You have the original NES, you've got Game Boy, you've got N64, you've got Super Nintendo. GameCube, not yet. In fact, my wife was looking at the games today. I was like, man, I wish they had GameCube on here.
It's funny.
And there's a lot of Pokemon games that are on the Switch that you can play from the old stuff.
Yep, because they started releasing on the 3DS at one point the old Pokemon games, because I have Red, Blue, and Yellow on my 3DS. And then they released Gold, Silver, and Crystal shortly afterwards, but they never went into Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, and all those, at least for the 3DS.
I pulled my Switch out here just to take a look at some of the older games. Hello, Ross. Yes, we're doing a surprise stream here on a Saturday night instead of our normal Sunday, partially because I'm not going to be around tomorrow. Unfortunately, I got my new schedule for work, and I will be working tomorrow. I've got to be there for 6 o'clock for the next 5 days, working 6 p.m. to probably about 6 a.m. So I'll be pulling all nighters on uh, what's referred to on the railroad as a local job, where we take cars from the freight yards and deliver them straight to customers, as opposed to the road freights that go from one yard to another yard. And on the Game Boy part here, amongst the newest ones that they uh, have available include Pokemon Trading Card Game from the Game Boy Color. So that's that's one of the newest ones on here. That's on the Game Boy side of things.
You know, I keep forgetting how many quote unquote spin-off or alternate games that were made in the Pokemon world, because I always focused on the main games, but there was quite a few that they made, like Pokemon Pinball, that one right there that you just showed. Then also they had Pokemon TV, where you could actually watch full episodes on your Game Boy. Were you aware of that?
I was not aware of that. I mean, I know they also had like some of the old TV shows that were turned into video games that were popular, things like Ninja Turtles and Transformers and stuff like that. So it's not uncommon to see over the history of time of video games and television entertainment to see different things.
Yep. You know,
Ross, that was bad. Ross made a joke saying, "You're like Bob Seger working on your night moves."
Well, I swear, because of our shared interests in rock and roll, we've kind of turned this into a musically themed show as well.
We have. We've done a lot of different things regarding music with this show. And it's music of all types, not just anime music or stuff like that. I know we've talked about a whole variety of things. I think N64 was the other one that had a lot of Pokemon games on here.
Probably one of the biggest things I remember. So my friend had to do a project on the Wright brothers, and his parents took him to Kitty Hawk and asked me if I wanted to go with him. So I went with him. So they, kind of like before Airbnb, you know how people rent their condos and whatnot on the beach?
Yep.
Okay, so they found a place backed up to the beach, and in our room that we stayed in, they had a GameCube. And one of the games they had was the GameCube version of Smash Bros. And at that time, we were huge into Pokemon. So guess who we picked as our player?
Pikachu.
Of course. We made it all the way to the Master Hand, which was, I think, the final level in the older games. And I almost beat it. I think I got him down to like 3 or 4 health, and then he killed me. And my friend never beat him.
On the N64 here on the Switch here, we have Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2, Pokemon Snap, the original, Pokemon Puzzle League.
I remember, or was it Coliseum I'm thinking of? But Pokemon Stadium, and the other nice thing about those consoles were, especially once the GameCube came out, you could communicate back and forth between the Game Boy because of the link cable. So you could transfer Pokemon from games once you got to the GameCube from your main games to be used in competition on your GameCube games.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yep. And then also, there's another feature on the GameCube that you could buy where it would include a Game Boy slot, and you could actually plug your games, your Game Boy games, into the GameCube, and you could play them on the big screen.
Oh, that's cool. I know there have been a few systems that they tried to make it to where you could be able to do stuff like that.
Yep, and Nintendo was the first in many aspects, like kind of getting away from the video game thing, but the Nintendo, well, the Game Boy, remember the camera?
I don't remember the camera.
Yeah, it was you could use it to take photos, and it was way ahead of its time.
I had an original Game Boy, and then I had a Game Boy 3DS, but I never really had
A
one
Game
that
Boy
had the
3DS. Do you mean a Game Boy Advance?
It was a 3DS.
So the Nintendo 3DS.
And then or it might have been Game Boy Advance.
Because it went from Game Boy Color, Game Boy Micro, the Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy Advance SP, and then the Game Boy Advance SP with the backlight, which is the one I have. And unfortunately, it broke after it fell off my bed. And that was the best one they ever made. And they only made those in 2 karat. Yes, I remember Gale of Darkness.
And
I never really played it because I never had a GameCube. I know about all this stuff because I did a report on Pokemon back in school.
did you know they made a Chobits game?
Yep.
For Game Boy Advance and the PS2. I didn't know that
That I did not know.
Cutie Honey Flash for the Sega Pico. I pulled up a Wikipedia list video games based off of anime or manga. And I'm slowly scrolling down the list of like stuff that I would know. Of course, you've got shows that have become so popular that they turned into video game form. Things like Inuyasha, when that back in the day was so popular. I had both video games that I know of that had come out. Because you had Inuyasha, A Feudal Fairy Tale for the PlayStation 1. You had Feudal Combat for the PS2 and Secret of the Cursed Mask for the PS2, which I think I had both of those. Feudal Combat was basically your PvP style, almost Mortal Kombat style, where you could be the different characters and you had to fight each other.
Do you know what else had a lot of combat anime games now that I think about it?
What's that?
The Dragon Ball franchise.
Yeah.
Because I remember now that I think about it, my cousins, when I was about 7 or 8, that they were big into the Dragon Ball stuff, and I remember them playing it on their systems while I was over at their house.
Fairy Tail got a bunch of different games. Full Metal Alchemist 2 had 3 different PlayStation games, 3 different PS2 games.
These are Japan exclusive, because don't forget, a lot of those anime ones are unfortunately Japanese exclusive, or does it really say?
It doesn't really say, just based off of here. These are just ones that had been turned into video games. I know, like at GameStop, I've seen Fairy Tail on the shelf. Like I said, I owned 2 of the Inuyasha games. One was PvP, and one was an RPG version. And they were in English. Oh, right up your alley. You've got JoJo Bizarre's Adventure. PS3 and
wow.
PS4 versions. Little Witch Academia, that doesn't surprise me. Love Hina, I'm guessing that might have...
wow, that's an old one.
That one said it came out for the PS2 and the Game Boy Advance. Again, these may have been Japan exclusive titles. I don't know. I'm just going off of the Wikipedia page, and it doesn't specify as to what region these games came out from. Naruto, a million games.
Pretty much.
One Piece, a bunch of games. The Pet Girl of Saskuroso had a PSP game.
Oh, I forgot about the PSP because, when I was really into consoles, the Game Boy Advance, the Nintendo DS, the PSP, those were the big ones that most everybody wanted to have.
And then
when it came to handheld.
Looking in the chat, we've got Ross talking back about Pokemon Puzzle League, saying Puzzle League was hard. Also, Ross wants to know, Darren, if you remember the GameCube game Pokemon XD Darkness.
Yes, I do.
And Ross also says,
I never got to play it because I never owned the GameCube, but I'm familiar with it. Yes.
And Ross said, here's a fun fact. Rumbling Hearts anime was based on a PC visual novel.
Yep, and so was Shuffle.
Shuffle was such a good anime.
You do know that there was another series related to that, right?
Was there?
Yeah, there was if I'm not mistaken, there was either a sequel to Shuffle or there was a prequel to Shuffle that was done in visual novel. Because you also got to remember, since we're expanding, yes, and Chaos Head, yes, the Science Adventure series, because it went Chaos Head, Steins Gate, and then Robotic Notes, and then they redid Chaos Head. And I was going to say, honestly, I forgot about visual novels because there's a decent amount of anime that's come out because of visual novel. The Fruit of Grisaia was another one.
Oh, Saria. Oh, no, that was, that's not the one I'm thinking of.
No.
To Love Ru had 5 video games released.
Yep. I remember seeing something about that. Was that on the PlayStation or was that on what
PSP, PlayStation Vita. And it looked like there was a smartphone game titled To Love Ru Darkness Idol Revolution. I'm thinking that one might have been a more of a Japanese release.
I'd believe it. And just thinking about the PSP, oh my God, that handheld was so ahead of its time at the time.
And there was a Familiar Zero game for the PS2.
Oh wow. I'm sure you would have loved to have been able to play that.
Oh, if I'd known about it, I probably would have gone after that. That's pretty, because that was a great series. I'm sad only one season of that got dubbed. Ross says that he has Robotic Notes and Chaos Head visual novels on his Switch console, but haven't touched it since he purchased them earlier this year.
if I'm not mistaken, I have the Steins Gate visual novel downloaded, but I've never played it.
And there's lots of other video games out there that are based off of popular anime shows. We've seen a ton of My Hero Academia video games come out recently. Demon Slayer's got games out. So it's not. It seems like anything that goes mainstream. I'm sure there's Attack on Titan games out there.
There are. I've actually seen them in GameStop. I think they were for like the PS4. Ross, Chaos Head is older than Steins Gate. Chaos Head came first. They're all the same world.
You can see the chat tonight, Darren.
Yes. I changed the. It's weird. I think StreamYard changed their layout, so whenever I open the link now, it gives me the chance for our chat and then comments. Hello, Mario.
Hello, Mario. Yeah, this was kind of something I decided to do earlier today. If you're just joining us now, I have to work tomorrow night and I'm unable to make the show, which is really sad because I was looking forward to talking with our guest tomorrow night, Dan Flanders from Manic Mart. Awesome guy. We've had him on the show. He is a regular Halloween time guest for the show. And it's a tradition that we've had going on for about 4 years now, and we'll hopefully can continue. And hopefully next time he's on with us, I'm able to make the show. But I didn't want to miss out on the fun of doing a show and seeing all of you wonderful people out there who tune in and support us every week. So I wanted to do a special show tonight, even though it's only probably going to be going for about another 20 to 30 minutes. Talking about anime and video games. Do they go hand in hand? And it seems like there has been over the years a lot of crossover between video game world into animes that inspire the creation of video games. Are there animes out there that could inspire video games, or we think would make a good video game? Is there a show that you've watched that you think would make a fun video game that has not yet, to our knowledge, been turned into one?
What would be an interesting kind of game layout? I can think of a couple ones because of how much research went into them.
What's that?
What about a Cells at Work video game? Navigate your way throughout the body.
That could be an interesting one.
Or another one, a Food Wars anime, where you gotta come up with your own dishes, and maybe there's certain combinations coded into the system. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to be fair, Ross, Chaos Head was a little bit more confusing to me than Steins Gate. But then again, I ain't watched Chaos Head in a minute. Even though I think I did watch the reboot they did, Chaos Head Zero, but I didn't watch Steins Gate Zero.
And Ross in the chat room says, "Oh no, guys, Chandler Bing just died," which made me do a little research because I wasn't sure who he was talking about. But the actor, according to multiple sources, LA Times 2 minutes ago, The Sun 1 hour ago, Yahoo 12 minutes ago, People 12 minutes ago on MSN. Matthew Perry passing away at 54.
Do you know who else passed away yesterday?
Who's that?
Richard Mall. Do you know who that is?
Not off the top of my head.
Think bowl. Think night court.
Oh.
The bailiff.
He passed away?
At 80.
Wow. I used to watch Night Court.
But yes, Bull Shannon, the bailiff. He passed away yesterday. And he did not join the reboot. You know they did a Night Court reboot with John Larroquette.
Yep.
Yep, and I think Harry Stone's daughter was the judge this time around.
I think so, yeah. I think you were telling me about that when I was out there back in July for a visit.
Yes, this was after Harry passed away. And this was after Christine passed away too. In her 70s, I think. So the only ones from Night Court that are still alive are John Larroquette, and I think Mac, and I think Roz. So Marsha Warfield, I forget what Mac's real name is, and then of course John Larroquette.
Yeah. But it is crazy to think about how anime and video games have kind of gone hand in hand throughout the years. And I'm sure that's a trend that's not going to change anytime soon. I think we're going to see a lot more anime video game combinations. You know, video games are a good way to promote a new anime series or manga series.
And also take all your money, particularly mobile games, because mobile games, I think ever since Angry Birds came out, mobile games have just exploded.
They have, and I'm guilty of it as well. I've got games I play on the cell phone. Granted, a lot of times they're just fun casino games, slot machines, things of that nature, because it's enjoyable for me. I like, not spending real money. I'm one of those people that 99 times out of 100, I will not put money into a game after an initial investment. There's a lot of times I won't buy the add-ons.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the other thing. What's your take on games, anime related and everything, where because you went from the game to codes to get special things on the game to now you purchase the game and there's all this expandable content that has to be purchased separately?
It's just video game companies wanting to get richer. It's what it comes down to. And they know if you like the game, 90% of their maybe not 90%, probably 75% of their target audience won't hesitate to spend the extra money if they have them fully committed to the game to get that special character or the special outfit for your favorite character. Or maybe there's an exclusive scene or exclusive, expansion pack where you might be able to get, the naughty content or unrated content or whatever tricks that they can use to get us as, consumers to be like, oh, I need that. You see all of these mobile games do crossovers. I'm constantly seeing on my Facebook feed, oh, check out this game, install now and you could get Malim from Reincarnated as a Slime 5-star S tier, or going to ReZero going in. I've seen Rosario Vampire characters in games. I've seen just recently they had Smartphone has a game out now.
Did you know that High School DxD has a game?
That doesn't surprise me. It would surprise me more if you don't have it.
I don't because I have an account, but it's the Mobage card game. Remember those cards you used to see of DXD characters with letters on them for like rarities and in different outfits and whatnot?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the Mobage cards. And I'm pretty sure High School DxD does have actual video game. Give me a second. I think it's yep, you got the Movage card game, which is an RPG developed by Marvelous Incorporated. And then there is a High School DxD game for the Nintendo 3DS. And of course, it is Japan only.
Which means Darren's going to be going out and buying a Japanese 3DS to get the game. Darren's like, I can't. I just bought new equipment.
Pretty much.
And hello, John. Welcome back. John went to Olive Garden. Now I'm jealous. I hope you had a wonderful dinner, John. In all seriousness, I hope everybody out there, if you have kids, if you celebrate Halloween, I hope you have a wonderful and safe Halloween this weekend. I know Halloween is on Tuesday night. Here in the town of Kutztown, they did their trick-or-treating on Thursday night, which was a bit weird, but that was something that we found out because my wife enjoys a lot of the Facebook groups, especially of the cities that we live in. And also, I have to throw, and this is a weird shout out, but I got to throw a shout out to the Kutztown Weiss grocery store. I don't know if all Weiss did this week, today or not, but between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m., they had a trick-or-treating event for the kids. Kids can show up in costume. They had multiple tables set up around the grocery store where they had little treats, everything from coloring pages to candy to vanilla yogurt with ghost faces drawn on them. Sandwich bags filled with cheese balls with faces that made it look like pumpkins. They really did a cool thing. And Evie went out, had her little bucket with her, and it was pretty full after we walked around the store this morning. So hats off to the staff at Wise in Kutztown, Pennsylvania. It was a fun event. When we got in there early, I don't know if a lot of people, like, I only found out about it because we actually had gone in to go grocery shopping and then brought the groceries home, realized I had forgotten some stuff, had to pick up my wife from the gym anyway, head right back out there. So we got Evie in her costume and she went as a little cat, walking around, and she kind of made the day of a lot of the other shoppers in there. She was meowing like a cat, and it was a cute thing. I missed the Thursday night trick-or-treating because of work, so being able to do something for Halloween this year, as a parent, makes you feel good.
Oh, I was right. So there were actually 2 games released. One was for the 3DS, and the other was for the PlayStation Vita.
Okay.
High School DxD New Fight. It was a RPG. And then the other one that they released on the 3DS, I believe, was a visual novel.
Now, I've got to ask, knowing that you enjoyed season 1 of Spy Family, have you been able to watch any of season 2?
The first episode.
So you're still behind.
Yeah, I told you I was.
Okay. I still won't spoil anything. I will say, I am watching a lot of shows this season, including Spy Family, which I caught up with today, Girlfriend Season 2, Frieren, Beyond Journey's End. Going through here. What other shows am I watching? Uma Musume Season 3, giving the disgraced noble lady a crash course in naughtiness. Been watching Saints Magic Powers of Omnipotence Season 2, playthrough of a certain dude's VR MMO life. Overtake is another one I've been watching. The 100 Girlfriends Who Really, 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 Really Love You. So I'm watching a bunch of stuff, and I have to say, I think the biggest surprise that I didn't know what to expect from it when I read the synopsis, but I think could possibly be my favorite anime of the season is Frieren.
And that's one I've been meaning to start. I keep seeing content about it posted all the time.
And this just in from Ross. It was announced yesterday that Bryn April will be taken over for Megan Shipman, doing the voice of Anya for Spy Family. Again, congratulations to Megan Shipman, who just gave birth, I think, a day or two ago to her daughter. So congratulations again to Megan and her growing family. I hope everybody's happy, healthy, and I wish them a lifetime of happiness. I really do. Having kids is a crazy thing. It changes your whole mind frame. And especially coming from somebody like me who most of my life I said I didn't want kids. I never planned on having kids. And then I found the right person, and now I have a daughter who's going to be turning 6 in a week and a half. Holy crap.
Wow. Has it been that long?
Yeah. No, her birthday is early November. In fact, next weekend we're going to be celebrating her 6th birthday.
Wow.
Tell me about it. God, where has the time gone? That's insane.
Can I get a refund?
No, it's we wanted to go back to Katsucon the year after because that we know that's where things started, and like, well, we can't return her. We didn't get back to Katsucon. We want to return it and get our money back, but it's too late. We didn't go back to next year. But it's Evie's precious to me. I couldn't see my life not having her in it, especially after being around. Yes, there's times when she can be a pain in the butt, but that's what kids are. They're going to test their limits. They're going to test your patience, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. She means everything to me. So
I was about to say, and you weren't when you were a kid.
Oh no, I know I was a pain in the ass. I never shut up as a kid. It wasn't until I got into school that I was picked on, made fun of, and bullied, where I kind of quieted up and got into a shy phase where I really didn't talk much. And now look at me here after getting out of school, getting into the working world. Now I do a podcast and I don't shut up.
Yep, pretty much.
And then we have Darren as the yes man.
Yep. That's exactly what I am.
He's like, yep, pretty much.
Yep. Until we get Angela in here, then I'm the no man.
We got to figure out ways for you to push your buttons because it's fun.
Oh, I know. The problem is you know her better than I do.
That's okay. It was still epic the day that I gave my Bofuri bomb and she kind of flew off. Just that natural no.
I still wish y'all had got a recording with her going at it with Token and with the Dead.
Oh man, I wish we had cameras rolling on that because that was priceless. I'm so glad that Christy was there. And Christy could experience that as well. Because even Christy was like, huh? That was on Saturday. And that was shortly before we had cameras rolling. And Jeff Hoffman has posted in Facebook talking about Matthew Perry. Of course, Jeff is one of our friends from Token with the Dead, so the news is spreading fast on social media. You don't need news. You don't need news outlets anymore. Everybody just goes on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook.
They flat out said it in Monster Musume that the government literally gets everything off Twitter. They don't need to. They don't need to spy on you. You reveal everything about yourself on Twitter.
Pretty much.
Do you remember that scene? Where he kind of snuck off and Agent Smith went after him, and she said, "Don't underestimate the power of the government." But in reality, we just use Twitter.
Oh yeah. I remember that. Like going back to our conversation about having kids, Ross in the chat says, "But it doesn't have to change your mind frame. You can still be yourself and change a little." I'm still myself, but I've always been kind of a caring person.
It also changes your outlook on life.
It changes your outlook. It changes your priorities.
Yep. And, I keep thinking about this stuff that I would do. I tell my parents, "Oh, don't worry about it." But yet, if I were to have kids and I were to tell them not to do something that I would do, I would probably feel the same way.
Oh, yeah. And Ross says no Halloween for where he lives this year. It will be 25 degrees on Tuesday night.
Tuesday is supposed to... Okay, this is how bipolar our weather's been lately. Guess what the high today was?
I'm guessing the high for you was colder than the high for me today.
83.
Okay, we were close. 79.
It was 85.
79 in Pennsylvania.
It was 85 yesterday. It was 83 today. It's supposed to be 83 tomorrow and 83 on Monday. And then on Tuesday, the high is supposed to be 57. And the low is supposed to be 34. Then on Wednesday night, we actually have a frost advisory because it's supposed to get down to 31. Oh, and rain rolls in on Tuesday. So our Halloween is going to be a wet, cold Halloween unless the rain rolls out before the end of the day.
Tomorrow we're looking at a cold day. High of 54, low of 52 with rain all day. 59 on Monday for a high, 52 on Tuesday, Wednesday 46 with a low of 27.
So it looks like that Arctic air is coming in from the north and hitting all of us. It's just hitting you before me.
Yeah. And Ross is saying that they had rain all day today.
And Ross, where are you located at again?
Ross is in, if I remember correctly, Ross is Arkansas.
Oh, wow.
I don't know where John lives. HH, I believe, is still in Massachusetts. Of course, we know Angela's in Mass.
And we know Mario's in the UK.
Yep. It's always fun having Mario come around because it's great to get the perspective. Having Mario and Pop Girl coming on and hanging out with us from the UK. It's always wonderful to see what life is like across the pond.
Yes, Ross. Especially during the summer. Y'all get the storms that ravage y'all's states, and then we get the remnants after the mountains break them up.
But we are just about out of time for this fun little 1 hour special thing because I wanted to put some additional content out there and still have the fun interaction with all of you wonderful fans. We really do truly appreciate the support that you guys give us. We are closing in on that ever huge number of likes.
Likes or subscribers?
Subscribers, I mean. We are at 289 subscribers. We're 11 away from the big giveaway that we want to do. We have got a fantastic giveaway planned once we hit 300 subscribers. So please tell your friends if they're into anime about us. Have them subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost anything. You can just click the subscribe button, tune in. Hopefully they enjoy the content as much as we enjoy coming on here and talking with you guys. Until tomorrow night when Darren and Angela take control of the show with special guest Dan Flanders from Manic Mart. Remember, Darren, just think of all things spooky and Halloween with Dan. He's a fun guy. He's been on with us before.
Yep. I'm just going to need a brief refresher course. And yep. We'll treat him right.
Until tomorrow night with Darren and Angela, I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend out there. Have a safe Halloween. I will be back next Sunday, November 5th, when we have Rick from Nerder Bandit. He's going to be joining us. He's going to be coming back on. Since it's after Halloween, people are going to be switching gears to Thanksgiving and looking ahead at Christmas gifts and things like that. I hate to say it, but it's fact. So why not have an awesome collectible retailer on with us to talk about his wares, and if you're interested, finding out a way of getting special stuff from him. Until then, I hope everybody has a wonderful night. Have a safe weekend, safe Halloween out there to everybody. Happy Trick or Treat Land. We'll see you again right here for more Anime-Zing Radio on YouTube. Have a good one, all.
Oh, and Ross came in with a last second thing. Don't forget the time change next week. I forgot about that.
We fall back next week, so that's another big thing. Have a wonderful night, everybody, and we'll talk with you again tomorrow night with more Anime-Zing Radio. As I said, right here on YouTube. And tomorrow night will also include Facebook and Twitch. Until then, stay safe. We'll see you then. Bye-bye, y'all.
Night.